Craig Thomson, thanks for your time. I know you've been meeting with your legal team. What's their advice? Are you confident of defeating this claim against you by Fair Work Australia?
Look, Kieran, nothing's really changed. We're absolutely confident that this civil action that's been taken by Fair Work Australia will fall over. I mean, quite frankly, Kieran, what we're surprised about is that the Commonwealth, having spent $400,000 getting KPMG to review their report and being very scathing in terms of the original Fair Work report, that Fair Work Australia has chosen totally to ignore that KPMG report and go ahead with this matter. So, they did say some 6 months ago they were going to do this, but we've subsequently had that KPMG report, and it's a little surprising that they've gone ahead the way they have.
And will your team be seeking to have this thrown out when it goes to court on the 7th of December?
Well, look, I think the 7th of December is probably just a directions hearing, but we're very confident that on the facts of the matter, given what KPMG have said, which backs up what I said when I spoke to Parliament in May, that this civil action has no legs on it at all, and will be thrown out of court very, very shortly thereafter.
But Bernadette O'Neill from Fair Work Australia, the General Manager, in her statement yesterday, she said that the claims against you don't just relate to that initial investigation, which, as you say, KPMG audited. There were additional claims she made. She says that Fair Work Australia is making against you. For the record, do you deny those additional allegations?
Yeah, look, and absolutely and categorically, Kieran, but can I also say that I don't think there was any new material that wasn't in the original report. I think what Fair Work Australia did originally was lay out what they said was the case against me and then say these are the breaches of the Act. They've come up with some new breaches of the Act based on the same material that was in that report. There's been no new investigation by Fair Work Australia. They finished investigating this matter back in March of this year, and there's been nothing new from that. But they have, in some senses, framed some of it differently, and it's quite apparent, just straight away that that's the case, in that I think there was close to 200 charges, potential breaches originally. They're down to 37, I think, that they're looking at. So you can see that there's been some changes there, as well as it being framed in a different sense. But none of the actual substantive matters are any different. It comes from the material gathered in a report that's been, largely discredited, and I look forward to having my day in the federal court where we can show that these matters are not in fact true at all.
The allegations, the fresh allegations, apparently relate to a connection between the withdrawal of cash withdrawals in mid-2006 and the use of that money on escort services. You're saying that's not new? And,
no,
and
they raised that in the original report. Look, Kieran, can I say that I'm kind of sick and tired of some of the crap reporting that the News Limited papers do, where they, in an effort to try and make the story fresh and sexy, pretend that there are new issues there. They, clearly didn't read the original report if they're claiming that these are new issues, because they're not. They were there from the start. And I'm not going to go through in detail at all, or in any sense, my defence. I did that at some length in Parliament for over an hour, but one thing that was absolutely clear, both from Fair Work Australia and anyone else who's looked at these matters, was that there were receipts and documents for every cent that was taken out from the cash from a ATM in terms of cash withdrawals. The evidence that Fair Work Australia themselves put forward was that was in evidence some 6 months after I left. Again, one of the complete failings of the report and its findings is they then dismiss that as being an issue and make up these other allegations, which have no substance in either fact or in evidence whatsoever. And that's one of the reasons I think that KPMG was so scathing when they had a look at this report.
I think something which is undisputed is the fact that this is going to put enormous financial strain potentially on yourself, and the opposition's calling on the government to rule out any support. They've done that. Let me put it straight to you. given the implications, if an MP is made bankrupt, they have to leave Parliament. Are you at risk of going bankrupt because of these legal proceedings?
Well, Kieran, the only people who keep talking about me being bankrupt are the opposition. And can I say that if we're talking about someone who has a bankruptcy of ideas, then the opposition must be experts in terms of this particular area. I have never said that I'm going bankrupt. I will be obviously meeting my own costs in relation to this matter. The ALP is not meeting those costs as I sit on the cross benches, and I will be defending these matters, as do thousands and thousands of Australians involved in similar sorts of litigation every day. The only people who have raised the issue of bankruptcy are the bankrupt for ideas opposition that we have down in Canberra.
And you're not at risk of going bankrupt here?
Well, I'm not raising that I'm going bankrupt. I'm not filing for bankruptcy. I'm proceeding in relation to a full defence of these matters, and that's where we're going. Bankruptcy is not something that we've looked at, thought about in any sense, because we're defending these issues.
Throughout this saga, you have denied using the money inappropriately for escorts and other things. It looks like, for all intents and purposes, like someone has. Do you have any suspicion of who is responsible if you're innocent? And if so, have you told the police? Will you make that clear in court?
Well, look, I've raised some of these issues and some of the suspicions in my speech in Parliament, and that's where that will lie. In relation to the Victorian police investigation, I've only had one conversation with the police at my initiation on the day that I was speaking in Parliament, where I had some suggestions for some leads as to possible people in terms of those things. They have not requested a formal interview or any interview with me at all since that date. The New South Wales Police, in looking at the National Office issues, reached the conclusion that there were no issues of fraud at all. There's then a further New South Wales investigation, but I think, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, where that is focused and who that is focused upon.
Have you been advised at all on when those police investigations might wrap up?
No, as I said, I haven't spoken to the police in either of those issues, but can I say, Kieran, that after 4 years, I'm hoping that it's very soon.
One final question, Craig Thomson. Members of the HSU would be bewildered that their money has been used inappropriately. Now, as I said, and you've said it repeatedly, you maintain your innocence, but the money was spent while you ran the union. What do you say to the former people that you represented?
Well, look, I mean, they're at the moment undergoing elections after having administrators put in charge of the branches that were being discussed with this. This is something that's happened some 5 years after I've left. It'd be inappropriate for me to be making any comments while they're off having their elections. I don't know the candidates or what's happened there, and really that's something for the current membership of the HSU to look at and make their decisions on.
Craig Thomson, thank you very much for your time.
No problems. Thanks, Kieran.